Don't just live for tomorrow, or just live in yesterday. Just be glad for all you have that's in today.
Hey everyone, Connie here, and welcome to my blind reaction to Schindler's List. This is a donation reward for Venom0027. And this is a 3-hour long movie. Yeah, so there's that. So what do I know about Schindler's List? Well, I know outside of it just being super long, it's a really well-known and popular film. People seem to praise it very highly. I believe it has something to do with World War II, though I'm not 100% on that. Um, and I think it's in black and white, like despite coming out in like the 80s or 90s or something. Like it was a stylistic choice, or maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm thinking of a different film. But otherwise, like I don't know anything. I don't know who's in the movie. I don't know like what the actual plot's about. I'm just hoping that with this being 3 hours long, that it's at least well paced. I don't want it to be super slow because honestly, I don't want to end up being bored for 3 hours. 3 hours is a long time for a movie. Like I've seen Troy, like that's like I have Troy on DVD. I think that's like 4 hours. And it's like I like that movie, but even that it's hard to sometimes sit through at points. um like not even like the MCU films are this long, and it's like those can get pretty long. At this point, I'm just really hoping that it stays exciting and interesting and keeps my attention throughout, that it doesn't really have any notable low points, because that would definitely hurt the film for me, considering, again, 3 hours. And I've seen plenty of long movies. Like it's it can be done. Long movies that keep your attention and keep you entertained all the way through can definitely be done. It's just sometimes it's not. Uh, but either way, I don't know what to expect from this at all. With not knowing much of anything about the plot or the cast or anything, I don't know what to expect from this. I don't know whether I'm going to like it or not. But I want to make it very clear to anyone who ever wishes to or has donated for a movie reward, especially, but for anything even if you don't know if I'll like it, even if you don't think that I'll like it, still feel free to suggest it. I want to hear suggestions because I've checked out plenty of shows and movies and stuff that I did not expect to like, or at least didn't expect to like anywhere near as much as I did, and I did like them. A good example of another donation reward is Onward. When I had seen the advertising and stuff for Onward, I was almost completely disinterested. I didn't think I would like it. It seemed kind of dumb, honestly, but I did like it a lot more than I thought I would. And there's plenty of other examples of movies and TV shows. I mean, one of my favorite anime of all time, Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid, I ignored when it first came out because I thought it was going to be completely stupid, bad humor. Like most anime comedies out there. But no, it ended up being amazing. Again, it's one of my favorite anime now. So, you never know. That's what I'm getting at. Even if you don't think I'll like it, feel free to suggest it. In fact, I implore you, please suggest anything, even if you don't think I'll like it. Because you never know, might end up loving it. If you like it and if you think that it would make for a good reaction, feel free suggest it. That's all I'm saying. Um, Whether you think I'll personally like it or not, because again, you never actually know with me. It's pretty much impossible to tell with me with my tastes. Um, so yeah, either way, I don't really know at all what to expect from this one. Um, I'm a little, yeah, you could say I'm a little concerned just because there have been so many big name, popular, excuse me, critically acclaimed movies that I haven't liked. But at the same time, there's been plenty that I have. So I'm a little concerned that maybe I won't end up liking this. But again, like I just said, I'm still willing to check it out. I still want to see because I might end up loving it. And in my eyes, that's worth it. It's always worth checking out movies, even if you don't end up liking them in the end, because you never know until you see it. Um, so yeah, we're going to get into this and hope that it's really good. Um, and just kind of go from there. So, when the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades to black and then fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the movie. Excuse me. So that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So, a couple quick things. First off, those people at the end who were laying the stones and all on the graves, there were like two people each when it said one name. I was kind of thinking as to what was the case there, and I found out I was right. The older people of those groups, of those duos, were the real people, the real Schindler Jews that were still alive, and the younger ones were the actors who portrayed them, which is exactly what I figured and thought, but I did get the confirmation on that. It was the real life Schindler Jews and their actors in this movie. And the one who laid the roses at the end was Liam Neeson himself. I also found out that Stern, the accountant, was Ben Kingsley. And Amon Goth, the other Nazi, was Rafe Fiennes, rather. It is pronounced Rafe. I did not recognize either of them, though now that I know Goth was Rafe Fiennes, I can definitely tell. But I really did not recognize Ben Kingsley. This movie came out in '93, so maybe that's why. Maybe I just recognized Ben Kingsley being older, but um, now let's talk about just general thoughts on the movie, and then I'll get into some specific stuff I want to discuss. General thoughts. This movie was one of the hardest things I've watched. There were a couple moments where I don't know how well you could tell with the small capture of my face cam and all, but I was crying. There were a couple moments there I was just so disturbed and so upset that I was on the verge of just completely breaking down. And that's why throughout most of this film, throughout most of this reaction, I didn't react. I didn't say anything. I was dead silent most of the time. I couldn't find the words. To this day, these events during World War II are still the most evil and horrible moments in human history. The the murders and mistreatment and dehumanization of the Jewish people by the Nazi Party and its allies. It's one of the most heartbreaking, one of the most harrowing, one of the most absolutely horrifying things to ever happen. All the people that men, women, children didn't matter that the Nazis destroyed in this way. Even those who survived still suffered so much. The Jewish people, the queer people of the time, the gypsies, anyone who didn't fit under the ideal of the Nazi party were subjected to so much horror. And I think the reason why this movie hit the way it did very hard was because of how well it was made. The direction, the acting, the choice to have it be in black and white, even the soundtrack, everything about it was so perfectly made, so perfectly handled. And that if you can sit through this and not get like really emotionally broken down, like I have to question what the fuck is wrong with you. There were a couple moments in here, like you'll probably have noticed I got like where it got really bad, and I was not okay. And I'm not surprised going into this. Like I kind of knew, even though I wasn't 100% sure, I kind of knew it was about World War II and all of that. I didn't know the specific details, but I kind of figured that I would probably get emotional, that there was probably going to be stuff that was going to be hard to watch in this. And when I was proven right at the beginning of the movie, when it's like, yeah, this is a basically it's like this is about World War II and about the Nazis and how they were fucking pieces of shit and everything. It's like I knew right away that this was going to hit hard. And I said it kind of at the end of the reaction there, but Liam Neeson, it's like sometimes people will make fun of Liam Neeson's acting, especially for like Taken and whatnot. He's also in the first, not the first, but Star Wars Episode One as Qui Gon Jinn, and has actually expressed interest in returning to the role for the Obi-Wan series. Funny enough, which would be pretty cool, all things considered. But he's been in a lot of things. He was the voice of Aslan in Chronicles of Narnia. Is it Aslan or Arslan? I think it's Aslan. Aslan? Whatever. I know who I'm talking about, the lion. And many other roles, and a lot of times he'll be like joked about or anything, but no one really dislikes him as an actor from what I've seen. They'll just mess around, but no one also calls him like one of the best actors either. I never see him referred to with such high praise, like in comparison to a lot of the other actors out there. Like you think of even like huge name classic actors who are seen as some of the best of all time, like Orson Welles. It's like no one's gonna compare Liam Neeson to Orson Welles. No one would do that. But honestly, you see this movie and you see how phenomenal of a performance he gave, and it's like you have to kind of think like maybe it's the roles he's gotten that have not allowed him to shine as much as he did in this film. And you got to wonder if he got other roles like this, would he be seen more as one of the greatest actors of all time? I think yes. But moving on, I looked up Oscar Schindler after the reaction. I wanted to find out what I could about one specific thing. Did Oscar Schindler disavow the Nazi Party after the end of the war? And I could not find out. Nothing I read, nothing I found told me if he actually actively disavowed the Nazi Party, if he actually actively turned against them. We saw that Goth didn't. We saw that he definitely did not. He died saying Hail Hitler. And while we can maybe presume that Schindler might have, based on his actions, we don't know for absolute certain. At least I couldn't find anything. If anyone has any more info on that, please, I'd like to know. And the reason I looked that up specifically is because, as I said in the reaction earlier on in the reaction, there's no such thing as a good Nazi, and I stand by that. The work Oscar Schindler did was important. It was moral. It was good. It was human. But if he, in the end, did not disavow the Nazi Party, if he remained loyal, if he remained a loyal Nazi and refused to turn against them after the war, then that means that his loyalty wasn't ever for question. That means that his loyalty was more important than what was right. I can understand if he didn't want to disavow them during the war, if he wanted to use his position to help them. That's one thing. And again, it's undeniable. He saved over 1,000 lives, which allowed for many generations to come. To this day. And that's admirable. It's beautiful. But if he did not disavow the Nazi Party, he was still a Nazi. If he did not disavow the Nazi Party, he was still loyal to their cause. He was still loyal to their beliefs. It's not enough to just do good. Every group of bad in the world, in history, has done some good. Some of the worst people ever have done some good. But unless a person actually disavows the evil that they were a part of and turns their life around completely to not only no longer be a part of that evil, but to actively speak out against it, then what can you really say changes? If they remain loyal in the end, then they're still remaining loyal, again, to the ideals of that evil, to the beliefs and the actions of that evil. If they can't disavow that evil, then they can't truly say that they're on the right side, no matter how good they do otherwise. Anyone who truly wants to do good in a world where they've been affected by that evil, where they've been working with that evil, would leave that evil. In this case, the Nazi Party. And there were people who did leave the Nazi Party, who disavowed them completely and worked to change things after the fact. There were also people who were loyal in the end. And there were people who even just said, like, we were under orders. We couldn't disobey orders. There were all kinds of different sides. But in the case of evil that strong, there is only one right and one wrong side. There is only one side that is in the complete right here. And while I could completely believe that Schindler would have disavowed the Nazi Party after, again, I couldn't find anything saying that he actively did. All we know is that during his time, he began to save the Jews by having them work in his factories. And that after the fact, he helped them go free and even kept in contact with them. They even helped him monetarily up to his death. And that's wonderful and all, that's great. But again, if he didn't disavow them, then there's still a problem. And he still, if he didn't, he wasn't a good person, even with all the good he did. He would have been a bad person who did good, who did amazingly good work. But again, there's no such thing as a good Nazi. If they disavowed the Nazi Party and turn their lives around and work to fight for the people they once oppressed, then yeah, they're not Nazis anymore, and they are good. But yeah, any loyalty to it after that point, continued loyalty to the end, it's not acceptable. And I know that might sound harsh, but I stand strong on that. And if anyone can find me the info on whether or not he did disavow the Nazi Party, I welcome it. In fact, I ask. I'm going to keep looking for it myself, but I ask you guys to help me if you can. I really want him to have done so. Because again, the work he did was good. But if he refused to disavow the Nazi Party, then he wasn't. When it comes to that, when it comes to Nazis, there's no gray area. But yeah, as I said, the movie was very, very well made. But I can't particularly say I enjoyed watching it. It's not like with Scarface where I hated watching it, where I just did not enjoy myself at all. I got into this film. I definitely I definitely like, how do I put it? Like, this was an experience I don't regret. I do not regret having seen this film. I do not regret having sat here for the past 3 hours react again reacting to this. Um Honestly, I'm glad I saw it because of how important and how heavy and how intense of a movie it is. I can't say I enjoyed it because it was very hard to watch. It made me break down at points and really just made me extremely uncomfortable and in pain. So I can't say it was enjoyable to watch, but I don't regret watching it. In fact, I'm glad I saw it. I'm glad I finally saw this film. So thank you to Venom0027 for choosing this as a donation reward. And I repeat what I said in the pre-thoughts. If you have, if there's a big movie or past, present, whatever, animated, live action, doesn't matter, and you would like to see me react to it, don't worry about whether or not whether you think I would like it or not. Because we never know. I never know if I'm going to like a movie or not when I go in. Even if it seems like it's a movie I might like, I could end up hating it. There's been plenty of films like that. And vice versa. There's been plenty of films I've gone into thinking I was going to dislike it, and I ended up loving it. So don't just like think that, oh, I might not like this movie, so I'm not, or she might not like this movie, so I'm not even going to request it. No, don't think like that at all. If it's a movie you love and everything, feel free to request it. Again, no matter past, present, doesn't matter how old it is at all or how new it is, as long as obviously I can get a copy of it and everything. Um, but yeah, it's like feel free to request anything. No restrictions. Do not worry about whether or not you think I'll like it or not. That doesn't matter to me. Um, but yeah, this movie was phenomenally made. I did not know at all it was Steven Spielberg. I don't think it said so at the beginning either, because I feel like I would have seen that. It didn't mention the cast either, because I didn't know that was Ray Fiennes and Ben Kingsley, but still. Um, yeah, it's just this movie was just really hard to watch. It was very well made. It was extremely well handled, and the pacing. I do want to talk about that real quick because this was a 3 hour movie. There were some parts that were really slow, and I was checking the time often. But then there were a couple parts that went by pretty quick, and that were a lot more well paced, uh, a lot more smooth and fast, and everything didn't feel like just a lot of nothing. So there was a bit of both in that regard. It wasn't perfect pacing by any means. It could have been better, but for what it was and what it was trying to tell, I think it was good enough. For what this movie was about, it did its job. And in the end, that's the important thing, I guess. But yeah, um, tell me in the comments below what you thought of Schindler's List the first time you saw it, or seeing it again now, or whatever. Tell me your thoughts down in the comments below, and thank you so much for tuning in. And again, if you have any other suggestions for movies and wish to donate to have me react to them, feel free. Donations are always open. And again, as long as I haven't seen the movie, I am willing to accept anything. Even if you don't think I'll like it, please suggest it, because you never know. You never know. And I want to see movies like that anyways, that people don't think I'll like, just in case it's like ends up being some kind of hidden gem for me. So again, thank you so much for tuning in. And for now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.